You ever get that gut feeling that something's just off? Like the shelves look full now, but deep down you know it won't last? Look, we're not talking about a maybe situation here. This is happening. Panic shopping is creeping back. Extreme weather is smashing crop yields. Global tensions are tightening food exports, and inflation is already eating through every grocery trip. These aren't separate problems anymore. They're colliding. And when that happens, supply chains crack. Fast. One week you're picking your favorite brand of rice. The next you're lucky if there's a bag left. Now is not the time to wait and see. If you've got a family to feed, or even just yourself to take care of, this is your wake-up call. Because when those shortages hit, you won't get a second chance to prep. The smartest thing you can do right now? Build up your pantry before the shelves are bare. Not someday. Not next month. Now. Over the next few minutes, I'll break down 30 essential grocery items that are flying under the radar. Items that will help you stretch your meals, cover your nutrition needs, and stay ahead when the next wave of shortages hits hard. Whether it's shelf-stable proteins, forgotten fats, or overlooked hydration options, every pick on this list has one job: to keep you ready when everything else runs out. Let's start this list with 5 items most people don't even think to grab. But if you wait until a crisis hits, you'll be lucky to find them anywhere. Number 30, canned butter. This one sounds strange at first, but trust me, it's a game changer. Red Feather is the brand to beat. It's real butter, not some weird substitute, and it lasts for years without refrigeration. When power goes out and the fridge dies, you're still spreading butter on crackers or cooking up scrambled eggs on your camp stove. And in hard times, fats are fuel. Your body burns through calories faster when you're stressed, cold, or doing physical work. One can of butter gives you energy, flavor, and the ability to cook almost anything, all while giving your meals that comforting, home-cooked feel. Without it, everything starts to taste dry and sad. Seriously, don't overlook this. Coming in at 29 is sardines, the real MVP of protein when meat vanishes from shelves. Wild Planet sardines are packed with protein, omega-3s, calcium, and healthy fats, all in a tiny tin that takes up no space and doesn't need refrigeration or cooking. These things are survival gold. In fact, sardines beat most meats on nutrition and don't require any prep. When the grid's down and everyone else is eating cold beans, you can crack open a tin of lemon-flavored sardines and feel like you're winning. They're also one of the few fish low in mercury, which matters if you're feeding kids. Look at sardines as compact, nutritious, flavor-packed insurance. Stack them deep. Number 28 is vinegar. Plain white, apple cider, and even specialty types like balsamic if you want to get fancy. Vinegar isn't just for salad dressings. It preserves food, disinfects surfaces, removes mildew, and soothes burns and bites. Apple cider vinegar has added health benefits too. It can stabilize blood sugar, aid digestion, and even help fight infections. You can use it as a mouthwash or mix it with water to clean fruits and veggies. During COVID, vinegar disappeared from shelves faster than hand sanitizer in some areas. That's not a coincidence. It's cheap, powerful, and multi-use. A gallon or two can take you a long way. Number 27, lard. Yep, old-fashioned pig fat. It's not glamorous, but it works. And unlike a lot of trendy oils, it stores surprisingly well and doesn't go rancid quickly when kept in a cool, dark place. Lard gives your body dense calories and is a dream to cook with, especially when fresh oils become hard to find. I've even seen it used in candles, soap making, and waterproofing in old-school survival guides. Get the real stuff, not the hydrogenated kind full of preservatives, and you'll have a shelf-stable fat source you can bake with, fry with, or even barter if things get bad. You know what's tough to find in a blackout? Anything buttery and crispy. Lard brings that back. And number 26, canned beets. Might not be at the top of your mind, but that's exactly why they're so important. When everyone's grabbing corn and green beans, the beets are still sitting there, quietly being nutritional powerhouses. They're packed with iron, magnesium, potassium, and fiber. nutrients your body craves in stressful situations. They support heart health, energy levels, and even detoxification, which is vital if you're living on shelf-stable food and your body's under constant stress. Plus, they're tasty chilled in vinegar or warmed up with a little garlic. Brands like Del Monte offer long shelf life with great texture. And unlike leafy greens that spoil in days, canned beets hold strong for years. So here's your first five: canned butter, sardines, vinegar, lard, and canned beets. It might seem like an odd mix at first glance, but these are strategic. You've got fat, protein, acidity, minerals, and shelf-stable calories, a foundation most pantries don't have. Start with these five, and you're already ahead of 90% of shoppers who think prepping is just about bottled water and ramen. These aren't trendy or viral, but they're the quiet warriors of any emergency food stash. And when things get real, quiet warriors are exactly who you want in your corner. There's a strange kind of security that comes from opening your pantry and seeing real food that can power you through the unknown. Not just filler, but items with backbone. The kind that do more than just sit pretty on the shelf. That's what this next set is all about. Number 25 is ghee. And no, it's not just for fancy recipes or food bloggers. Ghee is shelf-stable butter that doesn't need refrigeration and has a smoke point that can handle just about any cooking heat you throw at it. It won't spoil like your standard butter, and it stores for over a year when unopened. It's used worldwide in places where fridges aren't a guarantee. But here's the kicker: it actually tastes better. Rich, slightly nutty, and incredibly satisfying, ghee makes bland rice taste like comfort food and turns dried-out lentils into something you actually look forward to eating. In a world where every calorie counts, ghee gives you flavor and fuel. Sliding into spot 24, black beans. Not flashy, not trendy, but absolutely essential. A can of black beans is more than a protein hit. It's fiber, magnesium, folate, iron, and slow-burning carbs all in one. During high-stress periods, your digestive system can get out of whack, and fiber helps regulate that. Plus, black beans are versatile: taco fillings, soups, cold salads, even bean burgers. They're also one of the few canned foods that actually taste better the longer they sit in the can. Stack 20 to 30 cans in your rotation, and you've just bought yourself weeks of dependable, nutritious meals. At 23, let's talk about raw honey. Real, unfiltered, not the processed stuff in the bear bottle. Honey is one of nature's few foods that never spoils. Archaeologists found jars in Egyptian tombs still perfectly edible after thousands of years. This isn't just for your tea. Honey acts as an energy boost, an antibacterial agent for wounds, a sore throat remedy, and even a natural preservative for other foods. In a pinch, it can power a hike, treat a burn, or make that last piece of bread actually enjoyable. Local honey also has mild antihistamine effects. So, if seasonal allergies are a problem, this sweet little jar pulls double duty. Number 22 is one most folks walk right past in the international section: shelf-stable tofu. Don't roll your eyes. These vacuum-sealed packages are packed with protein, last 8 to 12 months without refrigeration, and come in flavors that taste surprisingly great straight from the pouch. You don't need to be vegetarian to appreciate them. When meat becomes a luxury or disappears entirely from store shelves, tofu steps up. Stir-fry it, grill it, mix it into soups, or eat it cold. It's that flexible. And if you're budgeting calories, this stuff gives you a lot of nutrition per ounce. When you're living on stored food, variety and texture go a long way for morale. And now, number 21, powdered peanut butter. Think of it like concentrated peanut energy. Regular peanut butter goes rancid in a year or two, especially in warmer climates, and takes up a lot of space. Powdered peanut butter, like PB2, stores for years, takes up half the room, and lets you use it however you want. Add water and spread it on crackers. Mix it dry into smoothies. Add it to pancake batter. It's lightweight, high protein, and ridiculously efficient. For people with kids or anyone trying to avoid sugar crashes, this is a shelf-stable win. And if you've ever tried hiking or camping with real peanut butter, you already know why powdered is the better move. Now imagine combining all five. Ghee to cook with, black beans for bulk, raw honey to sweeten, tofu for dense protein, and powdered peanut butter for versatility. That's not just a pantry, that's a mobile food lab. You've got the base for dozens of meals, the ability to stay nourished, and some seriously smart shelf power. And here's the thing. These items aren't flashy. You won't see people fighting over them in the first wave of panic shopping. But once the obvious stuff is gone, the rice, the toilet paper, the ramen, these will be the hidden gems that make all the difference. People love to think they'll figure it out when the time comes. But if that time shows up tomorrow, what's actually in your kitchen? Because when the lights go out and you can't just DoorDash your dinner, these are the kinds of foods that keep you steady, strong, and sane. There's a blind spot in most people's prepping plans, and it's hydration. We obsess over canned chili and boxes of pasta, but ignore the simple fact that without proper fluids and minerals, the rest doesn't matter much. That's where this next batch of items comes in. These 6 picks aren't just food. They're hydration support, electrolyte recovery, and nutrient preservation tools all rolled into one. Let's kick it off with number 19, coconut water. Not the flavored junk loaded with additives. I'm talking about the pure, shelf-stable kind you find in cartons or cans, like the ones from Goya or Vita Coco. It's one of the best natural electrolyte sources you can store, especially in hot climates or stressful conditions where dehydration hits fast. Unlike soda or energy drinks, it hydrates without spiking your blood sugar, and it's easy on the stomach. After a long day sweating it out, doing cleanup or repairs, coconut water helps your body bounce back faster than plain water ever could. And in emergencies, every ounce of energy counts. Item 18, canned spinach. Sounds basic, but hear me out. This isn't just for Popeye. Spinach is one of the few shelf-stable greens you can store for years, and it's loaded with iron, magnesium, calcium, and vitamins A and K, nutrients your body gets depleted of fast under physical or mental stress. When you're relying heavily on rice and beans or processed foods, canned spinach fills those nutritional gaps. Add it to eggs, soups, pasta, or eat it straight with olive oil and vinegar. And yes, it's surprisingly decent cold if needed. When fresh greens are long gone from the store, spinach in a can becomes a total win. Moving to number 17, canned artichokes. These are the flavor boosters that most people never think to grab, and that's a mistake. Artichokes are high in fiber and antioxidants, and they contain compounds that support liver function and digestion, which becomes important when your diet suddenly shifts to shelf-stable and canned foods. Plus, they last years in the can and require no prep. Toss them into a rice dish, a pasta sauce, or just eat them with salt and oil for a quick nutrient-packed snack. Artichokes may not be survival food in the traditional sense, but when your digestion slows down or your appetite disappears, these punchy, briny little bites can wake it right back up. Item 16, dehydrated vegetable mixes. Brands like Harmony House make bulk bags of chopped onions, bell peppers, carrots, peas, and more, all dried and ready to rehydrate in minutes. This isn't just about making soups taste better. Dehydrated veggies give you vitamins, fiber, and variety when fresh produce is impossible to find. And because they're dried, they last 10+ years in storage if sealed properly. One bag can make dozens of meals more flavorful and balanced. They're light, efficient, and incredibly underrated. And unlike canned veggies, you control the salt content completely. Number 15 is canned tomatoes. It doesn't matter if it's crushed, diced, stewed, or paste. Tomatoes are foundational. They're rich in lycopene, which boosts immune function, and vitamin C, which helps absorb iron from plant-based foods like beans and lentils. In short, they make your other food work better. But here's the kicker. Canned tomatoes also add depth and moisture to meals. If you're stretching rice, pasta, or dehydrated grains, tossing in some canned tomatoes suddenly gives that dish life. Make a simple stew, chili, or even a mock pasta sauce with just one can. And they last years on the shelf. Stock at least 15-20 cans if you want true meal flexibility. And rounding out this set is item 14, tomato powder. Not many people know this exists, but it's wildly efficient. One jar of tomato powder can replace a dozen cans and takes up a fraction of the space. Mix with water to make sauce, paste, or soup base on demand. It's also amazing for flavoring rice, beans, or emergency noodles. It stores for years, rehydrates instantly, and has a concentrated flavor that makes bland meals taste like comfort food. When you need to keep storage tight but still want access to real flavors, tomato powder gives you exactly that. All 6 of these: coconut water, canned spinach, artichokes, dehydrated veggies, canned tomatoes, and tomato powder. Focus on hydration, mineral retention, and digestive support. They aren't just side items. They're what keep your body functioning when you're running low on energy, sweating more, and asking a lot more of yourself physically and mentally. In survival situations, water and calories get the attention, but minerals are what actually keep your organs firing and your brain sharp. Think of these as the internal mechanics of your food storage plan. You don't always see them, but without them, everything else breaks down sooner than you expect. While others are scrambling for another case of mac and cheese, you'll be the one with a balanced stockpile that keeps you moving and thinking clearly, day after day. You can stockpile calories all day long, but at some point your body's going to crave something warm, salty, creamy, or just familiar. That's not weakness. That's biology and psychology working together. In high-stress situations, morale matters, and the next group of pantry staples delivers not just nutrition, but comfort. And in an emergency, comfort food can feel like survival all on its own. Item 13 is ramen noodles. And before you write it off as junk, let's break it down. Ramen is cheap, compact, and has a shelf life that stretches out for years. It's not fancy, but when water is limited and time is tight, that little brick of noodles becomes a hot meal in 3 minutes flat. Plus, ramen gives you salt, a critical electrolyte most people forget to plan for. Add a scoop of powdered peanut butter, a boiled egg, or a spoon of canned chicken, and you've just turned it into a protein-rich, morale-boosting dish. It's also incredibly barterable. People always want it when things go sideways. Think of ramen as survival currency with flavor. Number 12, canned green chilies. Sounds oddly specific, right? But here's the truth. Flavor fatigue is real in emergencies. Eating bland rice and beans day after day wears you down. Green chilies bring back excitement without overpowering your food. They have vitamin C, antioxidants, and a kick that can transform even basic pantry meals. Toss them in eggs, soups, stews, or even mix into instant mashed potatoes for a southwestern twist. Brands like Old El Paso or Hatch last for years, and they take up next to no room. One can might just save dinner when everything else tastes like cardboard. Coming in at 11 is canned coconut milk. This is your culinary Swiss Army knife. You can use it to make soups creamy, stretch out curries, add fat to stews, or even mix with oatmeal or powdered milk for a tropical twist. Coconut milk is packed with medium-chain triglycerides. Fats your body quickly converts to energy, which is exactly what you need during stressful, high-activity days. It's also lactose-free, making it perfect for people with dairy sensitivities. Shelf life, 2 to 5 years unopened. And it doesn't just taste good. It delivers real calories, real fat, and real versatility. Item 10 is something most modern kitchens never think to include: hardtack, the original survival food. If you've never heard of it, it's basically a rock-hard biscuit made of flour, water, and salt. The stuff sailors used to survive at sea for months. Modern hardtack can be made at home or bought in vacuum-sealed packs, and it'll last indefinitely if stored correctly. Is it gourmet? Absolutely not. But dip it in soup or top it with canned cheese, and it becomes a chewable, energy-dense base you can count on. When bread disappears, this is what steps in. And because it's so dry and durable, rodents don't even go for it. That alone makes it pantry gold. Speaking of canned cheese, number 9 is exactly that. Sounds crazy, but it exists, and it's surprisingly good. Brands like Bega or Kraft's Australian canned cheese stay edible for up to 10 years. It spreads like a dense cheddar and pairs beautifully with crackers, hardtack, or even melted into noodles and rice. Cheese gives you fat, protein, calcium, and comfort all at once. When you're living off pantry food, it's the creamy texture and richness that make meals feel real again. It also stores well in fluctuating temperatures, making it perfect for basements, garages, or off-grid cabins. Trust me, when you haven't had cheese in weeks and suddenly remember you stocked a few cans, you'll feel like a genius. And rounding out this set at number 8, bone broth. Either canned or in concentrate powder form. This stuff is loaded with collagen, amino acids, and minerals your body desperately needs during high stress, high exertion times. It's light, hydrating, and healing, especially if you're under the weather or eating lots of starchy carbs. Bone broth is known for its gut-supporting properties, and that matters when stress wrecks digestion. Plus, it makes any rice, pasta, or vegetable mix taste better. Warm, savory, and soothing. It's the closest thing to a hug in a mug. These 6 are ramen noodles, green chilies, coconut milk, hardtack, canned cheese, and bone broth represent the soul of pantry prepping. They're not just about surviving. They're about staying sane. They turn, I guess I'll eat this, into, hey, this actually tastes pretty good. And that shift, mentally, is everything. It means one more day you keep pushing. One more day you keep your family calm. One more day you're not reaching for junk just to feel full. Too many people build a pantry like a checklist. What you really want is a toolkit. Items that fill in the gaps between nutrition, morale, and energy. These 6 are small, but mighty. And when you're standing in the dark, holding a warm mug of bone broth, or breaking open a can of coconut curry soup, you'll remember that preparedness isn't just practical, it's personal. When you're staring down weeks without a normal grocery run, what you start craving isn't quantity, it's balance. Your body knows what it's missing, and it'll let you know in the most uncomfortable ways. This next group isn't flashy, but it quietly fills in those missing pieces. Protein, probiotics, natural sugars, and even that one daily ritual that keeps your mind steady. Let's start with number 7, canned salmon. If you've only ever tossed a can of tuna into a lunchbox, you're missing out. Salmon is in a whole different league. Higher in omega-3s, more filling, and way better for your joints and brain during long-term stress. You can eat it cold, mix it into pasta, or form it into salmon cakes with shelf-stable breadcrumbs and eggs. Brands like Wild Planet or even Kirkland's canned salmon offer years of shelf life, and unlike most meats, it doesn't require a heat source to prep. In a blackout, that's priceless. Bonus, the soft bones in canned salmon are edible and full of calcium, something most shelf foods lack entirely. At number 6, we've got canned sauerkraut. Stay with me here. It's not just a weird hot dog topping. Proper sauerkraut is a probiotic powerhouse. It supports gut health, boosts immunity, and helps digestion. All things that take a hit when you're surviving on preserved food. When you can't afford a stomachache or bloating from days of dry goods, fermented foods help reset your system. It also provides vitamin C, fiber, and that tangy flavor that breaks up the monotony of starch-heavy meals. Mix it into stews, eat it cold with crackers, or toss it on shelf-stable sausage for a fast, functional snack. Number 5 is canned pineapple. This isn't just about the sugar hit, though it's great for that too. Pineapple is loaded with bromelain, a natural enzyme that helps reduce inflammation and boost digestion. It's also rich in vitamin C, manganese, and hydration-supporting sugars. You'd be surprised how refreshing cold pineapple can feel when you've been living on salty, savory meals. It rehydrates you, wakes up your palate, and gives your brain that quick glucose hit it often craves under stress. Look for versions packed in juice, not syrup, for the best nutritional value. And when everyone else is sick of beans and rice, you'll be the one cracking open something that actually tastes like sunshine. Item 4. Dry lentils. These might be the hardest working food in any prepper's pantry. High in protein, rich in iron and fiber, and flexible enough to be turned into soups, stews, patties, and even emergency meatloaf if you get creative. Unlike canned beans, lentils cook fast, often in just 20 to 30 minutes, and don't need to be soaked beforehand. That means less fuel and less water to get a hot, filling, and highly nutritious meal. A single 5-pound bag can feed a small family for over a week if you know how to portion and season it right. They're also easy to store, with a shelf life of over a decade when sealed in Mylar or food-grade buckets. And finally, number 3, freeze-dried coffee. Now, this one might sound like a luxury, but anyone who's lived through a major blackout knows. It's not just about caffeine. It's about routine. A warm cup in the morning, something to sip while you think. It grounds you. Brands like Mount Hagen or Trader Joe's instant coffee hold flavor better than you'd expect, and they last for years if kept sealed. And it's not just about taste. Caffeine helps stave off headaches, improves focus, and boosts morale. When you're managing a crisis, that small ritual of making coffee can help you start the day with some normalcy, even if everything else feels upside down. These 5 items, salmon, sauerkraut, pineapple, lentils, and coffee, plug the holes that typical prepper lists miss. They bring in vitamins, healthy bacteria, digestive support, iron, and mental clarity. More than that, they add rhythm back into your day. A warm meal, a bright, juicy bite, a quiet moment with a cup in hand. These aren't survival items in the grim, cold sense. They're survival in the real-world sense. Staying sharp, staying steady, and staying human. Because at the end of the day, stockpiling isn't just about getting through the worst of it. It's about doing it in a way that doesn't strip you down. That's the difference between barely making it and walking through chaos with your head held high. We're down to the final 2. And these aren't just the last items on a list. They're the heavy hitters, the ones you want in your corner when things get unpredictable, uncomfortable, and downright hard. These 2 bring balance, calories, and adaptability. They also represent something bigger, the ability to build full meals when most people are scraping together whatever's left. Number 2, powdered milk. If you've never used it before, it's time to get familiar. The new stuff? It's nothing like the chalky, weird-tasting powder from decades ago. Products like Morning Moo or Nido now come fortified with vitamins A, D, and B12, and taste close enough to fresh milk that even picky eaters won't complain, especially when it's mixed into cereal, coffee, or soups. Powdered milk gives you calcium, protein, and versatility. It works in baking, reconstitutes easily, and lasts years if stored in sealed containers. In a situation where refrigeration fails or milk trucks stop running, this becomes one of the most valuable foods in the house. And let's not forget, it can also be used for making things like yogurt, creamy sauces, or instant pudding. You get dairy nutrition without the short shelf life. And finally, number 1, canned corned beef. It's salty, it's rich, and it's got the kind of staying power most meats can't match. A single can is dense with protein, fat, and flavor, all of which are critical during long stretches of physical exertion or mental stress. Fry it up with rice, mix it with potatoes, toss it into eggs. Corned beef turns basic pantry meals into something that actually feels satisfying. It's filling, requires zero prep or refrigeration, and stores for years. In most emergencies, people panic about meat, and rightfully so. It vanishes first. Having canned options, especially ones as reliable as corned beef, puts you miles ahead. Brands like Exeter or Hereford hold up well over time and are easy to find now, but that won't last. Here's the thing. Stocking up isn't about fear. It's about control. It's about knowing that no matter what happens out there, price hikes, storms, supply chain chaos, you're not left scrambling. You've got what you need right at home. All 30 of these items were chosen for a reason: long shelf life, high utility, nutritional value, and the ability to form real meals. Together, they create a safety net that protects your time, your budget, and your family's well-being. The truth is, no one ever regrets being prepared. The regret comes from waiting too long, from brushing off the warnings, from walking into a half-empty store and realizing the moment has already passed. That doesn't have to be you. Start today, a few items at a time. Build it slowly, consistently, with purpose. And when the next disruption hits, whether it's a natural disaster, a supply shortage, or just rising prices, you'll be ready. Because when it comes to feeding your household in uncertain times, the best defense is a well-stocked offense.